American art. This America denotes territory, neighborhood loyalty. The canvas transposes image. The concrete carves conversation. Pigment moves through graced covers of jazz, rumba, danza. Shifting soundscape excuse pure elements, offer no clear homage. A fashionable, hardworking santo, displaced angelic American jíbaro, celebrates on the altar of survival and ofrendas. Consider this the monument of whispered consent, an anonymous vote, manipulated, belief paraded through avenues, fallow tenements, community centers, botanicas, sidewalk gardens, emergency rooms, all are gathering spaces. An inverse image memorializes el movimiento, parallels the moratorium of primary-hued patriotism carved out with the barbed wire fists of sepia-rich repositories of demands. Returns to the understanding embrace of La Rumba Supermercado for indigenous reference. The man calls for the boy, a youth wailing through covered mouth. The man contaminates the narrative he is always selling. The boy disrupts the message we're always buying. The boy critiques this portrayal. The boy pioneers an installation resplendent in cartoonish nightmare, leaves evidence where once only a little brownie's still body narrows the definition of unknown distance. Fictive photographs, clean rags, civil servants, urban renewal, limited migration, public school, hanging trees, indigenous nation, cowboy justice, dream imagery, civil rights, collective identity, United States. Yeah. 16 minutes goes by really quick, man. It's really nice to have the watch. Like back in the day, I would have to have somebody like in the back, like waving something, or like, and then if you've ever been, I see Mike, and I remember like back in the day, like poetry slams, you get like 3 minutes, and especially if it's like a big event, there would be somebody who would stand in the front and would actually like in front of everybody, like wave a big ass sheet. Be like, thanks for taking us out the moment, dude. That was awesome. So yeah, growing up and then being in what is known as America, and then being an outsider in is usually the place from which I write, which is actually kind of fun, because writing stuff when you're inside can be really difficult, but like it feels really good in a lot of ways to write things from the outside perspective, right? And to try to see things that maybe don't always get seen. There's something that's called the Foxhole Manifesto. Has anybody ever heard of this? The Foxhole Manifesto is from World War I, and it says like, in the foxhole, there are no atheists. Yeah. So I always believe in like the city manifesto, which is like in a dark alley, like, you know, there is some kind of God that you're gonna figure out if like the alley's that dark. So I'm gonna close this with a couple of prayers. So the first one is an arsonist prayer. It's called Ash Wednesday. As you enter paradise, as you enter with smoke, as you enter with accelerant, as you enter with perfume, with gasoline, with flint, with spice, your mouth full of ritual, your mouth full with song, your mouth full of despair, your mouth full of song, in praise, in resignation, in Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest, your house, house of air, your house of wisp, your house of wisdom, your house of ash, your house of ascension, of a song, of sage, of sweetgrass, of smoke, of rags, of paper, of proper arches, archways blocked, archways gated, archways shut, for good, for now, forever, forgiveness, for this weakness, this willingness to accept, this smoke, this fate, this test, this prayer, this lift, this dust, this. And then, like I was saying, this would be B-Boy's prayer. But seeing that I have a little bit of time, I'm gonna read something that I probably have never read. This is Reflections on Burial. There are 5 different ways throughout the world of burials. And so through this poem, this comes from the graphic novel The Sandman by Neil Gaiman. So in between, you're gonna hear me use some really technical elements that come from that to describe the way throughout the world there are different kinds of burial. And then the voice that you're gonna hear is actually my father's voice. Excavation. If you read the newspapers the right way, you'll find people invent new ways to die every day. The most common one isn't in the papers: neglect. Most people never get to see their name in print. I'm telling you this because you are still young, which means you don't think this will happen to you. But I can bring you to a cemetery full of people who never thought it would happen to them. I'm telling you this now because we can't choose our death any more than we can choose our lives. All we can really choose is to work hard enough towards a proper burial. Interment. Variants are boxed, wrapped, or naked, embalmed or otherwise, lying, seated, or standing, grave, sepulcher, vault. Before you drink up, always spill a little on the sidewalk first. You never know where someone died. All concrete is one headstone for the city. 2, disposal through fire, variants, clothed, boxed, pyre, vessel, or ship. Different procedures adopted to dispose of the ashes. My sister, your aunt, they say she died in her sleep. I know she died in flames. They say she went quiet and in dreams. I know she went out cursing the heat. They say she never felt a thing. I know her skin charred in the blue light. They say she went straight to heaven. I know she had to swim up through hell first. 3, mummification, variants, salting, mineral baths, dehydration, pitch. El Gordo Pepe ate himself to death. A steady diet of lazy cash and late bills mixed with bad women he called wife too often, and good women he never called at all. 4, disposal through water. Variants include feeding to water, animals or fish, disposal in sacred river or sea, boxing, bagging with rocks. Your mother wants me to fix the faucet in the bathtub, the slow leak that I can never get to. I've tried, but every time the rust by the drain reminds me of your aunt. 5, air burial. Variants include dismemberment and otherwise, ingestion by raptors or scavengers, complete or partial disposal. Pigeons don't leave their young unguarded. They feed their chicks in secret until they grow to adult size. I wish I could protect you in that way, keep you safe from what's going on in those streets. Because the streets are constantly torn up. From one day to the next, you never know what condition you'll find the neighborhood in. Why does the city do that? Why the need to tear away all the layers of pavement?